Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we got our little text application to be able to highlight single line comments as part of syntax highlighting. When it opens, the document is able to go through and find all of the single line comments and change the color of them. So in this video we'll move on to the multi-line comment. So now that everything's in place, things should go a little bit faster. Now, because the first thing that happens is we delete tags in the function, we need to have different tags for single line, multi-line, for a double quote or a single quote, char. Those things need to have different tags associated with them. So this one, well, that kind of messed up a little bit. I'll just get those reading a little more better here. Let's straighten this out so they're a little more sensible. There we go. So this one we'll call multi-line. And it'll have the same color, but it needs to be a different tag because when we get to the part in this function where it removes the tags, we don't want it to take out the single line ones because it's not going to be searching for those. So some of this will be a little bit repetitive. Let's give ourselves some white space here at the bottom of the document so we can sort of get that up here like that. So yeah, there's probably ways to build this more optimized, but we're just going to lay it out in the most straightforward fashion. So once it comes out of this loop, check 1 will equal false. So we don't need to reinitialize these or give them new values because check 2 has never been initialized, so it's false. And check 1 has to be false to exit the while loop. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to reinitialize tag. So I don't think that this should be an issue. We should just be able to reinitialize tag as multi-line comment. It's not the same as adding a new tag. We can't add a new tag with the same name, but this is just changing what we looked up and called tag. So the next thing we'll need to do is these things. So we'll repeat this statement. And because we're repeating statements, it's almost, whoops, that is not what I intended to do. It's almost worthwhile to turn these into functions. So that's something to consider. That when we remove a tag, we might want to be looking at making, or when we're doing something repeatedly over and over again, like the current tab statement, the statement that we avoided having to type over and over again by making a function to return the result of that statement. But for laying things out in the most straightforward fashion, Doing it this way kind of accomplishes that. So we have the while loop. Inside of the while loop, we'll be doing the same thing. Check 1 equals these things. So we can basically go like this and copy it and paste it. Except this time, instead of looking for this, it will look for this. So that's check 1. Now let's consider what that looks like. It would come through, start would be here, end would be here. Okay, that will become relevant because now things need to change. So we have if check 1. So the things that happen if there was a result, and the thing that happens when there's no result, which is break out of the while loop. So we have to turn that into else break. So if there's a result, do these things. If there's not a result, break. So if check 1, check 2 equals GTK text iter forward search. We will start at an end. We will look for that symbol's counterpart. Same search flag, GTK. And let's just spare you guys watching me type that out. Now this time, we don't want to move start iter, because start iter is sitting at the start of our comment block. So there's what will happen if check 2 succeeds, and there's what will happen if check 2 fails. But either way, we need start to be at the beginning of this result. So here we're going to move iter, our other iter. So we have start, end, iter, and stop. So we have iter. We want to place an end. And our threshold will be stop. So we don't want it to go past stop. And that looks okay like that. So now we know that there is a check 1. So we would be going if check 2. The things that will happen there. Else. And the things that will happen here. And this should have brackets on it too. So this kind of starts getting into a naughty confusion of brackets. So I find it best to put them in place and then come through and check where our brackets are. So this should go up to the function's beginning. That would be nice to figure out, but that's one thing. Like, I've done some of this already, but I've never quite figured this one out. So how to highlight the brackets. So that's one I'm still trying to figure out. I would consider it pretty successful if I did. So if it finds a close to the beginning, we would be just applying a tag. So we would apply tag. Start will be at the beginning of this, end will be at the end of this. And our else, so we didn't actually need these brackets. I don't think we need these brackets. So we won't put them in if we don't need them. So the way the else would read here is start and stop. Because if it didn't find, if we leave an open bracket, an open comment, yeah, what this has done, that's a little bit weird, right? What it's done is it's come down to this symbol here, and it's going, oh, okay, there's the close. And this routine would do the exact same thing with this block of script. It would go, okay, here's the open, here's the close, that's where the comment ends. But if it was in a place that couldn't be seen, it will comment out the entire document. So if this wasn't here, if we took this out, so we'll take that out and we'll put the open. It goes all the way through the document, which is the behavior we would expect. So we'll fill that back in. And I'm pretty sure that that's it, that this should function. So let's scan through what we wrote here. So we have our semicolons. That's a mistake there. That should be a semicolon, not a colon. So that should get us multi-line comment working right there. So let's save this. Let's save this. And let's attempt to compile and see if we get a first run compile on this with that whole bunch of stuff that we added in. Yay! So that worked out. So we'll open up our document. It has a multi-line comment added to it. So our multi-line comment is working. Now, it wouldn't be the most optimal way to go about things, but if we were to take and look at our existing script and go down to where we open a file. So let's see, where's open file? That's the dialog. Here's the open file. Here's where we make the function call. So let's copy this function call. And we'll come up to our signals. Our signals are with the buttons now. I'm pretty sure we put all of the signals with the button. There's page switch. Alright, I'm gonna look in the H file. Probably be easier to find here. So it's probably in key release, I think we put it. So let's find key release event and see what that's doing. So we have switch page, we have delete, key release. So this is checking if the search bar is visible. Now this is not the most optimal way to go about this. But if we were to put this into here and let's mark it, we want to make a big long mark on that to remember that we put this here. Because this would involve every time we press a key doing a full document search. And yeah, when things grow bigger, doing a full document search through highlight page is probably not going to be what we want happening, especially if the search bar is also open and has text in it, because then it would be doing 2 full document searches for each keystroke, which would not be a good thing. But just to get an idea, okay, we don't need that one open. We'll just recompile that. And yeah, this is something that would definitely need to be looked at in terms of how optimal that is. But right now what I would expect to happen is we get some real-time result out of it. But yeah, we got to remember that if this is open and we have a word in here and then we start doing this, yeah, I'm not sure how much processing that takes, but doing willy-nilly throwing out the idea of, oh, let's do full document searches at every keystroke, we'd end up in a place where we'd type a word and go get a coffee and make a meal and then come back and the word would just be finishing appearing on the screen or something like that. Like, it wouldn't be all that optimal. For now, we'll just leave that in place and we'll see at which point it becomes a bog down, and maybe look at some ideas for how to narrow those searches so that it's not doing full document searches each time. But right now, as it stands, we can get results real time. But so yeah, that's a little bit of a beginning and a little bit of an idea of how we can go about getting some real-time results with our search, with our syntax highlighting. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and until the next video, take care.